Hey guys, and welcome to the exercise playlist here on Thelearningdroid. This first video we're going to be looking at push-ups or press-ups. And here comes the issue, naming these things. There are dozens of different varieties of push-ups or press-ups. Push-ups tends to be the general term used for them. Press-ups is a British English term. In other countries it usually refers to bench press or rising press, military press, things like that, weighted exercises. But both push-ups and press-ups are used depending on where you are and who you talk to. And then each of the multitude of different varieties of this exercise have different names. Again, depending on where you are and who you talk to. I know at least 4 kinds that are called military press-ups by different groups. But that's just the way things are. So, on my previous channel I had more space available to me. So I'm doing this in a more limited space, so we're going to see how it works. And hopefully it will work well. Fingers crossed. So, push-ups are a simple bodyweight exercise where you need a piece of floor or a piece of flat, firm surface, approximately the size of your body from head to toe, about twice as wide as your shoulders. Not really a big demand for equipment or anything like that, which makes it a great exercise. It's really well known, it's one of the most popular forms of sort of fitness exercise there is, for just people who randomly do bits and pieces. It works primarily the triceps, pectorals, shoulder muscles, and it also works the back muscles, the stomach muscles, the thigh muscles and the forearm muscles, just as stabilizers. They're minor introduction into it. Now, depending on the form you do, it pushes the emphasis of the exercise to different places. So we're going to have a look at the basic one that everyone knows. The basic one that everyone knows is your hands are a little bit wider than your shoulders, your elbows go out as you go down, and then you push back up, like this. Hands a little bit wider than my shoulders, my elbows come out, and I come back up. Now, a couple of important points that are the same with every push-up you do. A couple of big mistakes people make, and we'll have a look at them more closely later on, is not keeping your spine straight and putting too much emphasis on neck movement. Whenever you do, pardon me, I do apologise. Whenever you do body weight exercises, whenever you do any exercise, you have to have a focus on your form. And when exercise professionals talk about form, they're talking about how you hold your body, the rest of your body, when you do an exercise. And it's really important because doing exercises with incorrect form can actually be quite dangerous over a long period of time. You can cause yourself to have back problems, leg problems, arm problems, by having wrong form when you do an exercise. So we'll have a quick talk about form for push-ups. We'll have a look at some different kinds, and then I'll show some common big mistakes that people make. So form for your push-ups should be straight-legged, but not locked straight. So you're not locking your legs straight, they're just naturally straight. And you should be able to basically, if you could see yourself, you should be able to draw a straight line from the top of your head to the bottom of your ankles, so to your ankle bone, to give yourself a nice straight form. So in position, like so, when I'm up here, there's a nice straight line between my head and my ankles. My spine is nice and straight, I'm not sticking my bum up or dropping my hips down, it's all nice and straight, and exactly the same when I'm all the way down. Although the line is bent, so if I'm going from there to there, it's still nice and straight. So all the work is coming from my arms. Now if you're struggling to get this sort of stability, tense your stomach a little bit and try not to crunch up your neck, and it will help you out. Now, that's the basic push-up. I'll show you from the front so you can see how my arms are going. From here, my arms go out and back up. Nice and easy. I hope you can see that. I don't know because I've not used this much space before. I don't know how well the camera can see different bits and pieces. But we'll work on that, and I'll hopefully have more space later. So that's a basic push-up. Hands a little bit wider than your shoulders, arms go out, arms come back in. Now there are hundreds of varieties of these. More varieties than I know. But I'm going to take you through a couple of basic ones that push the exercise in different directions. Now, the first one is how far your arms go in and out. The further out your arms are, the more emphasis you're putting on your chest muscles to do the work. Also, the shorter movement up and down you're getting, so you're getting shorter movement and you're more emphasis on the chest muscles. So nice wide arms, you focus on the chest muscles and the support muscles in the shoulder, the small muscles, not the deltoid. So you're pushing the emphasis more down onto the support muscles in the shoulders and the pectorals. So for that, I'm talking about, instead of having your hands back this wide, you have a nice wide base. A nice wide base. For our hands, and we have a nice wide stable position. Great for the chest. A little bit more forceful on the elbows, so if you've got weak elbows you might want to consider strengthening your elbow joints, strengthening the muscles around that before doing that sort of exercise. But otherwise, exactly the same. Nice straight spine, same as before. Straight line between your head and your toes, or head and your ankle bone, sorry. Don't lock your knees straight, be nice and relaxed. Don't tense your neck. And again, if you're having trouble keeping a straight spine, just pull your stomach in slightly. So, other than that, in and out, to push more towards the chest, more towards the arms, more towards the arms. We have the nice tight push-up. This is one of the kinds called a military push-up. I know not everyone will agree that this is a military push-up, but this is one of the types of military push-up. And it's very similar to having your hands directly under your shoulders in the normal push-up that we just did, where our elbows come out. But in this one, we're going to bring our elbows back tight against our body. Now, because of this, our hands have to be slightly lower. So instead of positioning my hands in front of my shoulders, like that, I position my hands so my fingertips are in line with the top of my shoulders. Then when I come down, my elbows come back in tight to my side. So it looks a bit like this. And from the front, so that's one of the varieties of push-up or press-up. One of the kinds called military. Oh, there are so many called military, it's ridiculous. And that one focuses very much on your triceps. Very good for developing power in your triceps, for developing pushing power. Does put more strain on your back and more strain on your shoulder joints. So if you haven't got a very strong back, you might want to try other exercises first. On to the next military push-up. The next military push-up is also called a diamond push-up. And for that, for the simple reason that our hands make a diamond. Now, some people like to cross their thumbs. Some people like to tuck their thumbs in so they have a triangle. Some people like a proper diamond. To be honest, I don't think it makes that much difference where you put your thumbs or where you put your fingers. Unless you're turning your hands, the sort of small movements like this, they don't make a huge difference to your push-up. So however your thumbs are comfortable, that's fine. So for a diamond push-up, basically we have to have our fingertips touching. And that goes directly under the sternum. when we do our push-up. And once again, the arms come out when we do the push-up rather than staying close, otherwise they get jammed up against your body. So it looks a little bit like this. And from the front, we make a diamond in just under the sternum, we come down and out. So that's yet another form of push-up. I can keep going for ages. So, that sounded a bit wrong. So, there are many different kinds of push-up you can do. And so far they've all been different positions of the hands and things. So I just want to show one really advanced kind of push-up. I mean, you can do one-handed, you can do up on your fingertips, you can do on your knuckles, and there are arguments against and for every kind of push-up. Doesn't matter what kind of push-up you do, there will be people who say, no, that's not safe. And there'll be people who say, yes, that's brilliant. There are only a couple of kinds of push-up that I honestly think are really dangerous and will do you long-term harm. More often than not, it depends on you. So, for instance, some people will say that the first kind of military push-up I showed you, the close to the body, elbows in tight, will say that that's a dangerous kind of push-up. And yes, getting out of bed is dangerous. That kind of push-up is dangerous if you have weak shoulders and a weak back. But it's also very good at strengthening certain muscles. So there's positives and negatives. The same with diamond push-ups. That's not very good if you have weak elbow joints. But it's very good at strengthening your shoulders. So always take a pinch of salt in when people say that you should never do a particular exercise because it's dangerous, unless they have real hard evidence as to why. Always be careful with any exercise you do, any exercise at all. If it starts to hurt, you should stop. There's a difference between feeling your muscles ache because you've worked them and feeling your joints or feeling your muscles or feeling your tendons hurt because you've been damaging them. If an exercise hurts, you shouldn't do it. But most exercises, especially bodyweight exercises, aren't really dangerous unless you're doing something wrong. So we'll look at one more kind of push-up, a really advanced kind of push-up. One that I like is called the climber's push-up. At least that's the name I know it by. I've also heard it called a crocodile push-up. I've heard it called a switch push-up. So it's really dependent on what you want to call it. And it's quite complicated, so I'll show it to the best of my ability. Basically, you have a low hand and a high hand. Your high hand should be just above your shoulder level, fingers pointing up. Your low hand should be about level with your hip bone, and your fingers should be pointing out. You press up, then you switch, and you press up, and you switch, and you press up. So I'll give you a look at it. Once again, basic push-up position. Start with. All we do, drop one hand back, press up, switch hands, press up, switch hands. And on this particular push-up, you'll notice that because I'm changing my hands, I'm also turning my body slightly. And that adds an emphasis on your back muscles and your transverse abdominal muscles, your side muscles as well. They have to play a much bigger role in stabilising you and keeping you stable. It's a really tough exercise and really good to do. I like it. So now let's move on and have a talk about making exercises easier and harder. So, adapting the exercises to make them easier and harder for you. Of course, one of the ways of adapting a body weight exercise is by adding more weight to your body. Now I don't mean get fat. That's not a good idea. What I mean is using a weight vest or a weight belt or shoulder weights or hand weights to make an exercise more difficult. Now you always have to think about what kind of exercise you're doing. For instance, if you are doing squats, hand weights like wrist weights or dumbbells or kettlebells can help you add weight to your squat. Even a barbell across your shoulders will help you add weight to the squat. But if you're doing a push-up, hand weights aren't going to help. Same with if you're doing a squat, a weight belt around your waist, and not one of the thick leather ones designed to support your back when you're lifting heavy weights. I mean a belt with weights in it, or a sandbag belt, can help you add weight to your squat. But at the same time, I wouldn't recommend a belt weight for push-ups, because one of the weak points in your push-up is the small of your back, because that's where your spine curves, is at the small of your back. And adding weight to that part of your body can encourage you to do dangerous things like stretch your spine and droop your spine and add extra curve and all sorts of nasty things that you shouldn't be doing when you do a push-up. So for a push-up, if you want to add extra weight, a weight vest is the biggest recommendation. If you don't have a weight vest and you still want to add extra weight, or you can't afford a weight vest because they are quite pricey, a sandbag belt done along the chest, if you've got enough width on the belt, instead of putting it around your waist, you put it up around your chest to add weight just below your shoulders. That's much safer than putting it around your waist. There are other ways of making the push-up more difficult. One of the most common ones is to lift your feet higher. It sounds strange, but if you think about it, your body weighs a certain amount, and the more you lift your feet, the more of that weight is being pushed down onto your hands rather than on your feet. So I'll have a quick look at how to make it a bit harder by, of course you can move your hand position, you can change your hand position, you can do more advanced kinds of push-up to make it harder, but we'll have a look at raising and lowering your feet, or raising and lowering the angle when you do push-ups. So what you want is you want a nice, stable, sturdy stool. So I'll go and fetch mine. My nice, stable, sturdy stool. So we have our stool, and to make push-ups harder, all we do is raise our feet. Now the ultimate expression of this is to do a handstand push-up, whether you're balancing your feet against a wall or something like that. I wouldn't recommend going straight for it because you're likely to break your nose, because when you come down and collapse, you go straight onto your nose and neck, which isn't very pleasant, but that's the ultimate expression of this sort of angle increase making push-ups harder. A common way of doing this is if you're in a sports hall and you have those barred walls, so you have I can't remember what they're called now, it's an upright, pair of upright wooden uprights with wooden bars going up, used for stretching and things. Hooking your feet into subsequently higher and higher bars will make the push-up require more and more upper body strength. Now you have to be careful with your spine position when you lift your feet. It's the same as always. Your spine should be in a nice natural straight position. You shouldn't be locking your knees straight. You should have a nice natural straight position on your knees. And you shouldn't be bending your neck up and down. It should be a nice natural straight position on your neck. So let's have a look. If I raise my feet up, like so, nice natural straight position. For my push-ups. And that's one way to make push-ups a little bit harder. Now, if you think about it, if we raise our feet up and we put more weight on our hands, we make push-ups a little bit harder. If we do the opposite, we make them a bit easier. So once again, some people will struggle with push-ups, usually because of weakness in the shoulder joints. That's one of the most common reasons people struggle. And one way to make push-ups easier, to cope with this, is to raise your hands up. One of the ones I recommend for people with really weak shoulders is stair push-ups. Don't do it halfway up your staircase, At the bottom of your staircase, put your feet on the floor, not the stairs, the floor, and put your hands on the comfortable stair for you. For some people it's 4, 5, 6 steps up, some people it's 2 steps up. Once again, straight back, straight legs, hands up, push-ups. So I'll show you on this what I mean by raising your hands up. I don't know why I just like facing that way when I do push-ups. So once again, make sure this is nice and stable. Straight back, straight legs. And just as when you raise your feet, when you raise your hands you have a tendency to bow your back slightly. Try and keep your back nice and straight. Another way to make push-ups easier, if I get rid of my stool, be gone stool. Another way to make push-ups easier is by doing on your knees push-ups. Now these have been recommended for a long time for women because it puts different pressures on the pelvis and different pressures on the small of the back. And for a long time it's been said women should only do push-ups on their knees. Now, certain associations support this. I'm not going to name associations because I can't remember off the top of my head which ones do and which ones don't. I do have a list in a book. Some associations support on the knees push-ups for women only. Other organisations say that's complete and utter rubbish. Women should do push-ups properly. And to be honest, I personally haven't yet seen any real proof either way. I know women in martial arts classes who have been doing push-ups from their toes for 30 years and show no ill effects from it. But then there are studies that show that women doing push-ups on their toes have had ill effects within a couple of years, or within 6 months. Once again, it really depends upon you as a person. So if you're worried, do push-ups on your knees. If you can't do push-ups from your hands, it's safe to do push-ups on your knees. I'll show you how to do them in a second. But personally, I haven't seen any evidence either way. I know loads of weightlifting women of my acquaintance that if I ever suggested that they should be doing push-ups on their knees and not properly, or not on their toes as it's called, they'd slug me one for insulting them. But it's just one of these things. It's an exercise that some groups say is contraindicated. In other words, there are indications that it might not be a good idea. So you have to make your own choice with that. You can always talk to a fitness professional. Before doing anything really intense, you should talk to a fitness professional. These are just little advice videos for people that want to have a look at the exercises. So let's have a look at on the knees push-ups. It's nice and easy and follows all the simple rules, all the same sort of rules we've done before. So from here, instead of coming up onto our toes, we cross our ankles and come onto our knees. The reason we cross our ankles is just to give us a little bit of support. Our hands go out, and you notice that my body's still straight. One of the big mistakes people make with on the knees push-ups is they do them from here, because this is being on your knees. The problem is, I'm not really doing anything there. Now, if I slightly push my bum back, I can do that without hands, as long as I keep my balance. What you want when you do on the knees push-ups is from this position, you want a straight spine, straight legs, and you see I still have one straight line from my head to my knees this time. Nice straight line from my head to my knees, and push-ups from there. And I keep that nice straight line the whole time. And you can do pretty much any kind of push-up that you want from that position. I don't like it because it hurts my knees, which is an odd thing. It hurts my legs to do that kind of push-up. I much prefer to do push-ups on my toes. So In a moment we're going to have a look at a couple of common mistakes. So, common mistakes when we do push-ups. There are a couple of really common ones that I'll go through for you to keep an eye on. The first one that I've already talked about is on the knees push-ups. Do not be tempted to do it from all fours, the box position. That's not how push-ups are meant to be done, even on the knees push-ups, and you will get no benefit from it. There are people I know who did on their knees push-ups in that box position for 10 or 12 years in certain areas, in certain classes, and have complained that they're not any stronger than when they started. That's why. That's not how you do on the knees push-ups. The other ones are more from a health and safety point of view, from a long-term point of view. If you did 10 push-ups making any of these mistakes, it wouldn't hurt you. If you did 10 push-ups a day for 2 years making these mistakes, you're probably going to find yourself having problems. So, what are these mistakes? Really simple ones. Ones that loads of people make, so don't be ashamed if you're making them, but correct them. So one is what I call the head bob. So when you're doing push-ups, it's my head's going up and down, and I'm tensing my neck and turning my neck, and shouldn't be doing it because you're going to be hurting your neck when you do it. Because you're putting a lot of strain on your shoulder muscles, and your shoulder muscles are tensing, they're pulling on your neck. Every muscle in the body pulls on somewhere else. In fact, most muscles in the body pull on several places. That's how we move. Your bicep pulls on your shoulder and your lower arm, and because your bicep pulls on both these points, here and here, or on your upper arm and lower arm, sorry, when it pulls, the easier to move bit, this bit, moves. But even if it's not moving my upper arm, it's still pulling on it, it's still putting pressure on it, and that pressure has to be supported by these muscles, because these are the muscles that hold my upper arm still. So the pressure made by this muscle is countered by these ones to keep my upper arm still while I do that. It's the same with push-ups. The pressure you put on your arms when you do this is transmitted into your shoulders, which act to support and to keep your body still. But the pressure done by your shoulders acts upon your back and your neck. So constantly turning and twisting and tensing your neck is bad for your neck. You should just keep a nice, straight, calm position. The next one is the body bend. This is what a lot of people do when they're doing push-ups because it makes them easier. It's a bit like doing push-ups on your knees, but it's really, really dangerous. And there are a couple of different kinds, so I'll show you the different kinds. The first one is just the basic hips on the floor push-up. Now this is a common one in kids, for anyone who teaches kids, which is this one. Yeah? I'm sure a lot of you have seen kids do push-ups like that. It's really bad for your back. Really, really bad for your back. And really bad for the back of anyone who does it. Kids included. They may be more flexible than us, but it doesn't stop affecting how their bodies work. This really damages the small of your back. It really messes with the muscle balance and with the joints in the small of your back. Remember, nice straight spine position. The next one is the roll, or the worm. You all know the worm dance movement? Basically that's what we have. People will do this. They'll be in push-up position, and they'll go down, and then they'll do this. They come up, and then the bum comes up afterwards. And the reason they do this is because when you do it, you're essentially pushing with your stomach to lift your arms up. It makes push-ups much, much easier on your arms. But it's damaging your back when you do it. Once again, straight spine. Nice, straight, level body. The next one is locking your legs. It's a bit harder one to see, but essentially when you do your push-ups, your legs should be not bent, but not locked straight. And locked straight is literally as straight as they'll go. People with lots of flexibility can even bend their knees backwards, which is really bad. Your knees should be straight, but comfortable. You should never be locking them. Same with bending your knees so that your knees are low, so that you don't have this straight line. I keep pushing this whole straight thing. That's because it's one of the best ways to describe it. It's a straight line. So if I'm doing push-ups and I let my knees drop, I haven't got a straight line anymore. And it's putting lots of pressure on the small of my back again. And that, once again, isn't safe. So what we want is whatever point of our body is touching the floor, whether it's we're doing push-ups on our knees, and our knees are touching the floor, or we're doing push-ups on our balls of our feet, and it's our feet touching the floor, we want a straight line all the way through. And we want to keep that straight line for the whole exercise. So there's some food for thought, guys. Have a nice think about it. Have a think about the different sorts of push-ups you've seen. There are so many kinds of push-ups, I can't do them all in one video. There's hands out push-ups, butterfly push-ups, also known as bulldog push-ups. Push-ups off your knuckles, push-ups with push-up bars, on your fingers. There's push-ups where your hands are above your head. There's push-ups where your hands are under your stomach. There's push-ups where you turn your hands out and put them below your hips. There's loads of kinds of push-ups, guys, and which one you use is dependent on what you want out of it. So that's all for now. If you want some more kinds of push-ups, we'll have a chat about it later and I'll do another video showing some more kinds of push-ups. Thanks very much, guys. See you later.